Hey guys, it's Cece and welcome to an HP chat. It has been an age since last I did an HP chat, unless you count my recent Harry Potter reread vlog, which I kind of count, but it wasn't an official HP chat video, you know? In case you're unaware, if you are new here, if you have just happened upon this video, HP Chats is a video series that I do where I talk about Harry Potter, my favorite series. I've had a lot of people tell me that they found my channel through these videos, so if you are finding my channel through this video, welcome! I talk about gay books an awful lot, but today I am talking about Harry Potter. Specifically, today, I am reacting to my viewers' Harry Potter headcanons. I sent out a request for Harry Potter headcanons on Instagram as well as Twitter, and today I'm going to be reading them for the first time in front of this camera and reacting. I don't shame people for their Harry Potter headcanons, but I intend to be honest about how I personally would accept those headcanons, or if I would not. Mostly I'm just excited to talk more about this series that I love a lot. I'm currently in the middle of a reread, so my Harry Potter passion is at an all-time high. I'm at that bit of a Harry Potter reread where you just want to consume everything Harry Potter. It's usually about the time of year when my Star Kid passion really kicks into high gear again. But I think that means it's the perfect time to spread some Harry Potter love. Also, I wanted to say that this video is made possible by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning platform and community with over 25,000 classes in so many different things. Premium membership to Skillshare gives you unlimited access to all of these amazing classes, and I wanted to recommend that you check out some of the stuff that you can learn about writing and creative writing. So often when it comes to headcanons, you are telling your own version of a story, and I absolutely love hearing people's original ideas and takes on the world of Harry Potter. But if you are someone who is so passionate about creating worlds, building up characters, maybe consider taking some of the writing classes on Skillshare. An annual subscription to Skillshare is less than $10 a month, and actually, if you are one of the first 500 of my subscribers to click the link in the description, you are going to get the first 2 months of your Skillshare membership for free. I have been continuing to use Skillshare to learn how to edit videos in fun and interesting ways, which is something I hope that people have been appreciating. I've been getting a little bit more tricky with my video editing skills. If you want to join Skillshare, if you want to continue to learn, maybe check out the link in my description. Give Skillshare a look-see. But with that, let's jump right in to reacting to your Harry Potter headcanons. Also, I'm drinking this. That is probably what you see me drinking every now and then. Let's pretend it's polyjuice potion so that it's on trend, instead of it just being an important part of a balanced diet. We are going to pull up Instagram first. I posted something on Instagram last night at like 2 a.m. So let's see what people have sent me over there. Okay, number 1. Draco Malfoy is not straight. I don't care what JK says. I mean, you're definitely not going to get any pushback from me on headcanoning any character as queer. It's just not going to happen because every character in the Harry Potter series is queer. J.K. Rowling can't stop me, and she can't stop you either. So I fully agree with you. Draco is not straight. Let's see. The Weasley family spelling out swear words in photos using their Christmas jumpers. I love this. I love this for numerous reasons. Namely the fact that in my family, my grandmother is, like, at this point obligated to always have a Christmas decoration that spells out something Christmassy in individual letters, because it is a Christmas tradition for all of us to rearrange those letters into as many different combinations as we can think of for the entire month of December. So, like, coming from a personal place, a Christmas tradition of trying to spell out swear words using only Christmas word letters, I love this. And it sounds like something amazing that Fred and George would definitely try to do, and that everyone would get in on. Also on that one was Charlie as Ace, which is, like, I feel like Charlie being Ace is so accepted at this point. It's so weird. Like, reading the series and being like, I can't believe there are some people out there who don't think that Charlie Weasley is aromantic and asexual. That's who Charlie is, and I idolize him for that. There's no universe in which Remus Sirius is not or has not been a thing at one point. I mean, obviously. Again, this is a thing that, like, it's so interesting imagining reading the series not having that opinion, because it changes so much for me, and it is so apparent to me that that was the case, and that it is the case during especially Order of the Phoenix. So it's always wild to me when, like, just knowing that people don't think that when they read the series, because it's so blatant to me and to a lot of other queer people. It's wild. So let's see, Draco and Harry are together, so are Luna and Ginny, and Percy and Oliver. Oh, I've never heard that one. Hermione is a person of color. Yes. I agree with all of those things. I've never heard of Percy and Oliver. I think it's cute. What did I recently read? Oh yeah, it was a post about Oliver and Lee Jordan being together, and I was like, those are two such, like, arbitrary characters, but I love it. It's so great, because it's making everyone in Harry Potter queer, and that is my life's goal. Also, Hermione being a person of color, like, was a headcanon for so long, but if there's one thing that I'm glad Cursed Child brought us, it's the fact that it's not just a headcanon, it is something that can be considered canon to the Harry Potter universe. I'm also a huge fan of any headcanons of making the Harry Potter series more diverse than it originally was, because it was about heterosexual, cisgender, white characters predominantly. So anytime that people mix that up and bring something new to that, I think it makes it a more interesting story. I'm particularly a huge fan of the headcanon of Harry being biracial, of James having been Indian, and I just think that it brings so many new layers in a really interesting way to that character, to how the Dursleys frame James, to how the Dursleys treat Harry. And I'm a huge fan of that as well. There's an artist on Tumblr, I'll put their name on the screen, but they do amazing, amazing art that includes a biracial Harry and a black Hermione, and I absolutely love the way that they bring scenes from the series to life, because I think it's beautiful. Oh, there you go. From the same person. Harry is bisexual and biracial. Wolfstar is alive, and Tonks is the lesbian BFF / surrogate for Teddy. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I always felt like Remus and Tonks don't make sense unless it's a, like, queer platonic relationship, in that they're both sort of mourning, and I don't see another logical way for them to be together, just because Tonks gives such intense gay vibes. Like, Tonks and I are one, and that has always felt like a relationship that's just sort of thrown in later books, because J.K. Rowling realized that too many people were saying that they were queer. So I'm a huge fan of that. And, bisexual Harry is real. It's real. I think other sexuality ones I'm just gonna, like, read and agree with, and we'll move on to some other stuff. Luna Lovegood is ace and grey romantic. Yeah. Go for it. She is whatever you want her to be. Luna Lovegood is not an allo-cishet human being. I would say Sirius and Remus, but let's be real here, it's canon. Yeah, I'm with you. Scorbus was real. I mean, yeah. So in case you aren't immediately familiar with Scorbus, that refers to Scorpius and Albus, the second generation of Harry Potter, I guess arguably a third generation? I don't know. It's Draco's son and Harry's son. And I agree, like, that was a thing before Cursed Child happened, and then Cursed Child had so much queer baiting, it was, like, getting really, really blatant. That's something I talk more about in my Cursed Child review, because I really didn't like Cursed Child, and one of the things that I specifically talked about in that review was all of the different places where I marked queer baiting. I think it's real. I think that at the very least, that queerbaiting in Cursed Child was intentional. I don't think it was intentional when, like, queer stuff would happen in the original Harry Potter series, because, believe me, when J.K. Rowling writes gays, you are aware that it happens. If you've ever read the first book in her Cormorant Strike series, believe me, you know when she writes gays, she's gonna do it in the most offensive way possible. But considering that Cursed Child was written by other people, I think that there is a far greater potential for that to have been intentional queerbaiting. But that's just me. Let's see. More Ginny Luna, which I feel like you all must know I'm a huge fan of. I don't have my Funko Pops up anymore, but Ginny and Luna are always next to each other on my shelves because they're epic girlfriends. They're amazing. Ginny and Luna are dating, yes. Harry is bi and has a long string of crushes, including Cedric, which is why his death is painful. Again, yes. Oh, I love this one. Harry became a professor at Hogwarts and Dean and Seamus got married. It's so funny because, so I have an entire video on why I think Harry would have been a Hogwarts professor instead of an Auror. I'll leave that linked up on the screen, but it's just basically going through all the reasons why I don't think that the career that J.K. Rowling laid out for him really would have been the best choice. So I fully agree with that. I did an entire video on it. And Dean and Seamus are married to the point that their actors agree that they're married. So I'm with you. Fred had a small crush on Hermione at some point. See, I think that this is one of those ones where I don't know where it necessarily came from. Like, I've never seen the evidence for Fred and Hermione having a relationship, but, like, that's a huge part of fan culture. A lot of people ship the two of them. So, I always have a hard time with that one. Not, like, me saying, no, don't do that, but, like, I just legitimately have never read an interaction with them where I was like, ah, yes, romantic tension. It's just, like, I never got it. And maybe it's because I'm such a, like, firm advocate for Ron and Hermione and why I think that relationship works, that I have a hard time, like, putting them with other people because it doesn't make nearly as much sense as Ron and Hermione. But I don't know. I've just never seen that one. Harry really hates the color orange, and people get him orange sweaters as gag gifts. Oh, I would love to know where that one came from. Like, why? That is hysterical. It's the most absurd detail to focus on, and I absolutely love it. 100%. Just like Ron hates maroon, Harry hates orange, and everyone just keeps getting him orange things. If the Potters weren't eligible for the prophecy, Snape would still be a Death Eater. And then in the message after that, the Snape one is more of an observation, which I fully agree with. I'm pretty sure that the books kind of lay out that the only reason he stopped being a Death Eater was because of Lily, and then later because her child had her eyes. So I have absolutely no question that Snape would still have been an evil slime bag had he not had an unrequited crush on his childhood friend. Let's see. There are portraits of everyone who died in the Battle of Hogwarts in the hallways. That's sad. And, in a part 2, Teddy has his own portraits of his parents so he can meet them. I feel like I don't know nearly enough about, like, portrait logistics and how those work. Like, I don't know which ones get to be alive and which ones don't. I don't know how that works. It's probably, like, I knew at some point, but I just don't remember anymore. But I always have such a difficult time articulating my issues with portraits. I think it's because what the portraits remind me of are, like, it would be the same relationship that someone had to the ghost brought back by the resurrection stone, or looking at your family in the mirror of Erised, in that they are never going to be those fully realized people, but they're just enough that you could get obsessed. And I think that that's why portraits have always freaked me out, and how important they are in later books and how much personality they seem to have in later books. It's really unsettling because I don't understand where the line is, and I don't understand, ugh. I do agree that I think it would be really interesting to have the portraits of all of the students of the Battle of Hogwarts, not students, all the people who died at the Battle of Hogwarts in Hogwarts. I hope that they could become a celebration. Like, initially that it could be a memorial, but eventually it could be a celebration. And I really like honoring those people and honoring the sacrifices that they made for the wizarding world and for their school. So I don't know, I really like that. I think that that's really sweet. I have a couple of longer ones in my Instagram DMs, so I'm gonna look at these. Ooh, this is interesting. I will link this Tumblr post down in the description below if you want to read more about it. But this is basically about a theory that Regulus Black, instead of sort of eventually realizing that Voldemort is a bad person and, like, coming to terms with being good after years and years of believing in pureblood ideology, like all that shit, instead of him becoming a really good person who's learned, it's just that he finds out Voldemort isn't a pureblood and is like, I thought this was your entire deal. I thought this was all you cared about, and you are just lying. You're not even living your own ideals, you crazy motherfucker. And only fights against him because he still believes in pureblood ideology, and he's like, hey, this dude who's supposed to be upholding our entire cause is just bullshitting all of you. I think that that's interesting. I really like Regulus Black because I think he's one of my characters who I rely on for, like, here is why all Slytherins aren't bad. Look at Regulus Black, look at Horace Slughorn, like, or even Andromeda Tonks. Like, if you look at the good Slytherins, I'm not including Snape for a reason, don't at me, like, the series demonizes Slytherin so much that I think I cling to the actual Slytherins who uphold good ideals and who disprove this idea that for some reason all Slytherins are evil. So I feel like I cling to a Regulus Black realizing that what he believes in is wrong because of that. But I do think it's really interesting, this idea that it's not that he becomes a good person, it's that he realizes that Voldemort isn't worth following. I don't know. I don't know if I, like, necessarily am gonna know that going forward, but I think it's an interesting idea. Okay, I'm gonna go and see some of the ones on Twitter, and then we will wrap it up. So Twitter, the first one I see is one that Pakistani Harry is my jam. Again, I was talking about that earlier, so I fully am with that. But also I firmly believe that Charlie Dragonhide Boots Weasley made the best and most loving Christmas presents and secretly shared his dragon adventures with his mischievous siblings in a pensieve over Christmas break. This is the softest, nicest Harry Potter headcanon I've ever read in my entire life. This is giving me new life. This is giving me new direction. This is beautiful and perfect in every conceivable way, and I'm gonna need to get everyone else on this level of Charlie Weasley love because I'm obsessed with it. Yes, 100% on all of this. I am so with you. It's ridiculous. Lots of my main ones have been said, but I do headcanon Lily Evans was on the Quidditch team briefly in her 6th year as a chaser, and that's how her and James became closer. Also that the Marauders never found the Room of Requirement, and that's why it's not on the map. Ooh. Okay, so I like the idea of Lily being on a Quidditch team. I think it's interesting, and I'm always enthusiastic about Lily getting more sort of definition of her character beyond how the men in her life define her, because I think we understand a lot how Snape sees her. I think we understand a lot how the other Marauders see her, but I always am interested in more agency for that character on her own. So I really like that, but this idea that the Marauders never found the Room of Requirement is kind of brilliant and perfect, because I like the idea that they are these mischief masters, but there are still secrets of Hogwarts that they never figured out. You know, like the Chamber of Secrets isn't on the Marauders map that I'm aware of. Maybe I'm totally making that up. But I love the idea of future generations of Hogwarts students figuring out new tricks about the castle, especially because, like, Fred and George never found the Room of Requirement either. I think that it takes a special kind of person to happen upon that room, or a special kind of house elf, and I really like that idea that that's why it's not on the map. So I'm reading through a bunch of these. See, Harry is smarter and more powerful than the books give him credit for, which I totally agree with. At some point, I might even want to do a video on that a lot of people sort of lump Harry and Ron into this category of not good at school, which I don't think is true. I actually think I talked about that a little bit in my Harry Should Have Been a Professor video, that generally speaking, Harry is actually quite good at school, and is keeping up with Hermione in a lot of subjects. So I definitely agree with that. Oh, and Draco and Narcissa get out of Lucius's or Voldemort's grasp and fight back and be badasses, which I'm totally for. Mostly because I feel like we got a redemption arc in theory with Snape that I don't think really redeemed him, and I always thought it was interesting and kind of messed up that J.K. Rowling believed Snape was worthy of redemption, but not Draco, who grew up as a child, raised in a very particular set of circumstances, and I definitely think that Draco has a lot to answer for and a lot to make up for, but I always thought it was a little weird that J.K. Rowling was, like, disgusted with the idea of him ever having a redemption arc, because I think that all of the groundwork is there, especially in the later books, and Narcissa clearly has more love for Draco than she does for Lucius, so her kind of following her son out of that world as well, you know, being embraced again by her family that is not evil, who have grown past the upbringing that they had. I just think that that's a really interesting idea. Ron totally had a crush on Victor Crumb. Absolutely. I actually talk about that a ton in my Goblet of Fire vlog, like how blatant the bi panic is for Ron in Goblet of Fire, because everyone is queer in Goblet of Fire. Like, by that point, everyone is like, oh no! Hagrid is a very capable wizard, actually, is also super great, because I read this headcanon once that, like, after Hermione finishes going to Hogwarts, she talks to McGonagall and gets Hagrid to finish out his education, and it's the softest, sweetest of all the headcanons, because she is such an advocate for those who've been downtrodden by wizarding society, to have Hermione kind of lead Hagrid back to finish getting his formal education. But clearly, even with only a few years at Hogwarts, he learned a lot, because he does some really complex spells, and he does them without speaking, which means that he knows non-verbal magic, which is pretty difficult, and I think that, I don't know, I love that. Luna is an ace lesbian. I mean, I love that too. Percy and George reconcile in the future and have a closer relationship. Definitely. Oh my god, yeah. Oh, I feel like Percy is this character now who has to live with so much guilt, and he constantly feels like he's trying to make up for the fact that Fred isn't there anymore. I think that he would take that very personally, and not just because it's his brother dead, but he would take it as like he could have prevented it. And I think that would lead to some real trauma that Percy has to work through. And so I think it's very healing to picture a world in the future where George and Percy can reconcile and can be brothers in a way that they couldn't have been before, that they weren't before. As a series that is loaded with so much trauma and so much death, characters repairing relationships is a very important thing to focus on. I've never seen this before. Hermione, Neville, Harry, and the Weasleys are the descendants of the Hogwarts founders. I'm wondering where that one comes from, because I've never heard that in my life. And, like, I consider myself pretty ingrained in the Harry Potter fandom. I've heard a lot of theories and headcanons and ideas, and I've never heard this. I'm wondering which founders they're each descended from. Like, my immediate guess would be Hermione being descended from Rowena Ravenclaw, Neville from Helga Hufflepuff, Harry from Salazar Slytherin and the Weasleys from Godric Gryffindor, but that's just like my immediate pull because I think that for Neville, Hermione and Harry, those are their secondary houses, but I could be off. I'm just curious where that one comes from. I'm not inherently against it, I've just never heard it in my life. I will forever ship Harry and Hermione. I mean, here's the thing. You do you. I can't stand Harry and Hermione as a couple. I can't stand it. I think it's because I see Hermione and Harry as too similar in ways that would cause issues for their relationship, and too different in ways that would cause other problems in their relationship. Harry Hermione is something that I talk a little bit about in a few of my different Harry Potter reread vlogs that I've been working on, just because I think Hermione and Harry have such different methods of confrontation in that Harry doesn't really believe in confrontation, and I think Hermione often needs someone to challenge her. And I think that their friendship is so valuable because I don't think we get a lot of friendships between a boy and a girl where there's just like no real romantic tension there. It's just two people who are very different but who love each other and understand each other. So I always, I never want to take away that friendship because I think that it's one of the first times I ever read a friendship like that in fiction. But I am not here to shame anyone for their ships. I have never liked Harry and Hermione as a couple. I think that that's it. I think that's where I'm going to wrap up. There were a few more, but a lot more of them were also about sexuality. And as we've established, I'm pretty much all for any headcanons of any alternate sexuality for any of the characters. I'm curious if you have more Harry Potter headcanons that I didn't get to talk about in this video. Let me know some of your faves down in the comments below. There are a ton that I want to dedicate like full videos to. There's a video I want to do at some point in the future that's like headcanons of better alternate uses of the Chamber of Secrets as opposed to just sort of leaving it there. I have a list of things that I think that space should be used for. So like that's a headcanon of mine that's gonna get a full video. So I'm curious if any of you have headcanons that could lend themselves to entire HP chat videos. What did you think of this video? Are you excited for the possible return of HP chats? I'm hoping to do a lot more videos of these going forward now that I am working on rereading the series. If you have a particular HP chat that you really, really want me to do, anything you want me to discuss, also let me know down in the comments. I can continue to make a list, write up notes, and create new Harry Potter content. Please remember to check out Skillshare. That link will be in the description below. And thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!